All right, chapter 26. And there was a famine in the land, besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. So we had a famine in the days of Abraham, drive him somewhere. I don't remember if that was down to Egypt. But there was another time when he went to Abimelech, and I think this might be the same guy. Well, maybe we'll see here. So verse 2, And the Lord appeared unto him, and said, Go not down into Egypt. Dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, and will give unto thy seed all these countries, and in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice, and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. Now, what God's doing is, he's echoing the promise to Isaac. I just want you to understand what I told Abraham is intended for you. Okay? It wasn't meant for any of Abraham's other children. But God's echoing it here, and he's going to echo it eventually to Jacob. Not yet, but it'll be after Isaac dies that God will tell Jacob these things. Now, it says, Abraham obeyed my voice, kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. Was Abraham under a law?
No.
Yes and no. He's not under a law covenant. See, what people don't understand is when they say the law in the Bible, they're talking about a covenant. That covenant says, if you do what I say, I'll bless you. If you don't do what I say, I'll curse you. Okay? It's like the Abrahamic covenant. It's a conditional covenant. The Abrahamic covenant isn't conditional to Abraham. It's conditional to everybody else. Based upon how you treat Abraham is how I'm going to treat you. But Israel's going to have the Mosaic law, which is a covenant. But there were already laws, statutes, and commandments. Were they to murder in the time of Adam?
Yes.
They were? I don't think they were supposed to murder in the time of Adam.
Oh.
They're not supposed to murder ever. But they didn't have a law covenant. There wasn't a law that says if you murder, you'll be killed. But there were some right and wrongs that they knew. And we're not to do certain things. We're not to kill. What did Cain do to Abel? He killed him. Was that right? No. God didn't kill him because there isn't a law that will put him to death. But it's still wrong, and that's why God confronts him. Okay? So they do have, I'll say, commandments, statutes, and laws, because that's what it says, but it's not a law covenant. In order to be blessed, you've got to keep my law. Okay? That's going to come later. All right, verse 6. And Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and the men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, She is my sister. For he feared to say, She is my wife. Lest, said he, the men of this place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. Now, is she his sister?
Yes.
I'm going to say no. Maybe she's a cousin. See, in Abraham's case, they had the same father, I think, different mothers. So they had a parent in common. Well, Isaac and Rebekah don't. Isaac's from Abraham. Rebekah's from, I guess, 2 generations down from Abraham's brother. So they're not brother and sister. So why is he saying this? This worked for Dad.
I don't know. This family thing is really complicated to me.
Well, I agree, but it's Scripture.
Mm-hmm.
So he's flat out lying now, whereas Abraham, it was a half lie. Well, that's kind of true, but this isn't true at all. Now, is she a relative? Yes. Cousin, distant cousin, I don't know what the right term would be, but they're not brother and sister. They don't have similar parents. Okay? Abraham and Sarah did not have Rebekah. Abraham and Keturah did not have Rebekah. Maybe that's the way to say it. So she's descended from Abraham, and his brother had a parent in common. So they are related. So he's learned what Dad did. Dad lied twice. I'm going to do the same thing. So this is not good. All right, verse 8. And it came to pass, when he had been living there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked out a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah his wife. I guess they're rolling around in the hay there. And Abimelech called Isaac and said, Behold, of a surety she is thy wife, and how saidst thou, she is my sister? And Isaac said unto him, Because I said, lest I die for her. And Abimelech said, What is this thou hast done unto us? One of the people might lightly have lain with thy wife, and thou shouldest have brought guiltiness upon us. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, He that touches this man or his wife shall surely be put to death. Then Isaac sowed in that land, and received in the same year 100-fold. And the Lord blessed him. And the man waxed great, and went forward, and grew until he became very great. And he had possession of flocks, and possession of herds, and great store of servants. And the Philistines envied him. For all the wells which his father's servants had digged in the days of Abraham his father, the Philistines had stopped them, and filled them with the earth. And Abimelech said unto Isaac, Go from us, for thou art much mightier than we. And Isaac departed thence, and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar, and dwelt there. And Isaac digged again the wells of water, which they had digged in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them after the death of Abraham, and he called their names after the names by which his father had called them. And Isaac's servants digged in the valley, and found there a well of springing water. And the herdmen of Gerar did strive with Isaac's herdmen, saying, The water is ours. And he called the name of the well Esek, because they strove with him. And they digged another well, and strove for that also. He called the name of it Sitnah. And he removed from thence, and digged another well, for that they strove not. And he called the name of it Rehoboth. And he said, For now the Lord hath made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. And he went up from thence to Beersheba. And the Lord appeared unto him the same night, and said, I am the God of Abraham thy father. Fear not, I am with thee, and will bless thee, and multiply thy seed for my servant Abraham's sake. And he builded an altar there, and called upon the name of the Lord, and pitched his tent there, and there Isaac's servants digged a well. Then Abimelech went to him from Gerar, and Ahuzah, one of his friends, and Phicol, the chief captain of the army. So let me pause there and go back. Why is there so much attention given to these wells?
Because it's a source of water.
Well, I know, but why give attention to that? Why not give attention to we built a house and they knocked it down, or we had animals and they ran them off?
Maybe that's what they reunited themselves to talk about different things.
Okay, but what you said originally is towards the right answer. Yes, it's the source of water, but what's water in the scripture? It's the source of life. So you find a lot of attention drawn to wells where there's water, and Jesus is going to say, I give you living water. He talks to the woman at the well, right? Says, I give you living water. Where does Abraham's servant meet Isaac's wife? At the well, fetching water. So there's a lot of focus on wells in Genesis because it's obviously, like you said, it's the source of water, which is the source of life. And God's placing a lot of emphasis on that. There could be a lot of other things they, fought over, but he focuses on these wells. The wells were very important, as you were saying. So, all right, verse 27. And Isaac said unto them, Wherefore come ye to me, seeing ye hate me, and have sent me away from you? And they said, We saw certainly that the Lord was with thee. And we said, Let there now be an oath betwixt us, even betwixt us and thee, and let us make a covenant with thee, that thou wilt do us no hurt, as we have not touched thee, as we have done unto thee nothing but good, and have sent thee away in peace. Thou art now the blessed of the Lord. And he made them a feast, and they did eat and drink. And they rose up betimes in the morning, and swore one to another, and Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. Now, let me pause here. Abraham, I think he made a covenant with somebody. Isaac's making a covenant with somebody, and you might have some others in Genesis. In the time of Israel, when they're going into the land, God says, don't make a covenant with anyone. You're to destroy everybody. Well, what's the difference between in the future and now? Well, right now, Israel's not even born yet. They're not a nation. They're a small family. They're a community, and God's trying to preserve them until the time is right for them to take over the land. And when they do take over the land, the people there are going to be very wicked, more so than they are now. So God isn't telling them not to make covenants. It's okay. Just like God says it's okay to marry in the family, but when Israel becomes a nation, don't marry a near relative. You're not to do that. But here, you can. God doesn't want them marrying the Canaanites. Well, who am I going to marry? Well, you need to go back to your home country and find someone that you know. If you just go find any Syrian, they may not want to come. So find someone from your family who will trust you and will come down and, You're going to do the same thing with Isaac's son, Jacob. He's going to send him back to go get a wife from back home. All right. Just got to understand there's a difference between what's going on in Genesis and what's going on in the time of Exodus. About 300 years is going to lapse. Verse 32, and it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him concerning the well which they digged, and said unto him, we have found water. And he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba unto this day. And Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mine unto Isaac and to Rebekah. Why is that?
What is that statement?
Esau took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beeri the Hittite, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mine unto Isaac and Rebekah. Why is that?
I really don't know.
Well, Abraham was told not to let your descendants marry the people of the land. Okay? Are you supposed to have two wives?
No.
No. So he gets a double portion of disobedience. I'm not just going to marry one woman of the land. I'm going to have two.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to learn that he gets two more later on. We'll see that later. So Esau isn't about doing what Dad and Granddad did.
Mm-hmm.
Or doing what, I guess it is Abraham and Isaac.
Brother of Jacob, right?
Yeah, it is. I'm not going to do what Dad and Granddad did. I'm going to do what I want to do. And that's the rebellion in people. Don't tell me what to do. I know better. All right, so that's the end of that chapter.